You're going to hear two students talking about a presentation. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 24.
Hi Ken, how are you going with the research for our presentation?
Not bad actually. It's also really interesting, so that helps. It's much easier to research something that doesn't bore you to tears.
Yeah, it does make a difference. So, do you have any ideas on what we should focus on?
I do actually. I know that the brief was quite general, and that most people are looking at music therapy in a hospital setting, or with children for example, where it has been used effectively for many years, but I thought we might look at music therapy for animals.
They do music therapy for animals?
Yes, and it's getting quite popular apparently. It's being used a lot in veterinary medicine as a way of relaxing animals, mostly dogs I think at this point.
Gee, I didn't know that. I mean, I hear music at the vets, but I just assumed it was for the people that worked there. I didn't realize it might be used to relax the animals.
Maybe that's where the idea first came from. Perhaps they noticed that certain music helped with the animals and started to experiment. I'm sure we can find that out when we do the research.
Speaking of which, will there be enough information for a whole presentation on it though? It's a very specific use of music therapy.
Well, a quick search in the databases brought up over 24 articles, so there's certainly plenty being written about it. So yeah, I think there's enough information to build a presentation around.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, take some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
Do you have any ideas yet on how you'd like to structure the presentation?
Well, I thought we could start with a general outline of what music therapy for animals is, and then a quick overview of historical use.
That sounds good. If you like, I can research that and come up with a definition we can use.
Thanks, that'd be good. Then I thought we could focus on one particular animal because it's a very broad area and we only have 15 minutes for the presentation. The effectiveness seems to vary greatly with the type of music played, the species of animal and the personality and learning history of the individual animal. If we do more than one animal, it will take us a lot longer than 15 minutes.
True, so narrowing the focus would probably be best. Have you decided on an animal?
Yeah, I think we should look at dogs, because most of the literature seems to revolve around work done with them, so that will give us enough for the presentation.
Okay, so after the introduction, we will say that we've decided to focus on dogs because talking about all the different music, species and effects would take too long.
Yeah, that sounds good. Then we can talk about the different types of therapy tried with dogs, and in what settings. For example, we can discuss the use of music in domestic settings first, and then in vet clinics.
I like that, and I assume that the domestic setting has not got as much research.
Yeah, it's mainly anecdotal evidence, although I did find a couple of research articles, which showed that the effect may be more due to transference, rather than the dog's appreciation of the music.
You mean that because the music relaxes the owner, the dog has learned that music is relaxing and also becomes relaxed?
Yes, exactly, so it seems to be transference, but it is hard to know for sure because no reliable experiments have been done.
What about at vet clinics?
Well, there's been quite a bit written about that too. Also much of it anecdotal, but also there have been quite a few studies done, so we can reference those as evidence.
What was the outcome?
Generally, it seems that classical music is the best for calming dogs, and that there is no difference between normal music and music that has been designed for dogs' ears.
There's music made especially for dogs to listen to.
I know, I didn't realize it existed either, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. Most studies concluded that music therapy was effective and also the cheapest way to help dogs in stressful situations, like at the vets, or being in a kennel while their owners were on vacation, but that further research is needed.
There certainly seems to be enough for our presentation, especially when you include the data, so to conclude we'd probably say that it appears to be effective and is growing in use.
Yes, I think we should finish with that.
Okay, well, I can handle the intro, history and domestic settings if you'll do vet and conclusion.
Sounds fair. Why don't we take the week to do our research and write outlines for our sections, then meet up again here?
Yep, sounds good. I'll see you next week and thanks for doing the initial research.
No worries, see you next week.
This is the end of section 3.